The Kevin Durant madness is finally over. Josiah and Sean Marks just damn near saved the NBA and called the bluff of one of the biggest stars we have. Now, through this whole fiasco, I kept hearing the comparisons between this terrible trade request and Kobe's back in 07, and honestly, the similarities are almost scary. Now, one major difference, and quick spoiler alert, because trust me, this video will most definitely take you back. KD is going back to an upgraded team, literally with 2 All-Stars. Kobe, most definitely didn't. But with all that being said, Kobe did request a trade after being punished in the first round in his prime as the 7th seed, just like Kevin Durant. Kobe was also fighting a Shaq narrative that he couldn't win without him, just like KD is with Steph. And most importantly, and something that I don't feel like people are talking about enough, Kobe was constantly compared to a GOAT figure, somewhat like KD has his entire career. Today's video is sponsored by Raycon. Finding a solid pair of durable everyday earbuds on the open market for a reasonable price, it's extremely tough, and luckily Raycon has you covered. Raycon's everyday earbuds look, feel, and sound better than ever, and personally, I love to use mine when I work out. My personal favorite feature is the fact that they don't fall out your ears. They come with these optimized gel tips for the perfect in-ear fit for your specific ear shape. And trust me, they've been tested by me while sweating, and they still never fall out. I love it. Also, while in the gym, if you get a call, these earbuds have a built-in microphone that allows you to talk on the phone. All you have to do is tap the left or the right one twice, and you can answer or end whatever call. And another one of my favorite features, the everyday earbuds includes a noise isolation mode. This allows you to completely zone into your audio without any real distractions. This is also combined with their awareness mode, which allows you to engage with your audio while still being able to hear what's going on around you. Alternate between these two by just holding the right one down for 3 seconds. They actually care how you listen. All these extremely convenient features, plus they sound great, and they come at about half the price compared to other premium audio brands. You really can't beat that. If you want to play my videos with the best possible sound for the best possible price, click the link in my description box below or go to buyraycon.com/swishout. They're offering 15% off when you use my link, so take advantage. Big shout out to Raycon for always looking out for the channel, and most importantly, my guys.
I'll tell you this, no way in the world organization could explain trading away Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal. You got some explaining to do, no question about it. Sit on Kobe Bryant and force him to continue to wear a Laker jersey. You do not trade the best player in the world.
Mike, let me tell you something right now. The Los Angeles Lakers, it will take them years to recover from this, if not decades, if you trade both of them.
It's crazy how history tends to repeat itself in different forms. Right now, Kevin Durant is the undisputed villain of the NBA. 15 years ago, that was Kobe. Now, Kobe was never trying to escape a championship roster like I felt KD just was. The Lakers were a complete disaster. He had legitimate reasons. After that messy Shaq divorce, the Lakers roster was in shambles and management didn't know what the hell they were doing. An old Karl Malone retired after that extremely messy year with the Lakers for a multitude of reasons. Gary Payton and Rick Fox were traded for Chris Mim, Jermaine Jones, and Chucky Atkins. And of course, Shaq. He was moved in a deal for Lamar Odom, Caron Butler, Brian Grant, and 2 picks. This, of course, would leave big gaps in any roster, not to mention Phil Jackson was gone. Immediately after that season, they went from miraculously making the finals with all that turmoil they had within their roster to having their worst record in over a decade. Then, as teams often do when big time decisions look instantly bad, they panicked and they made an even worse decision. Desperate to replace Shaq with anything. Mind you, this was still kind of a big driven league. They reached all the way in the gutter and grabbed Kwame Brown after his confidence was completely shot. I guess I kind of understand what Mitch Kupchak was thinking. The Lakers always had a tradition of having a star big, and Kwame Brown was only 22 with a lot of potential, I guess. But what made that trade look even more horrendous was the fact that they lost probably the best piece they got from the Shaq trade when they got Kwame Brown. Directly after Caron Butler got traded for Kwame, He had his 3 best seasons of his career with Washington and made 2 consecutive All-Star games. Then in 06, just like post-KD, OKC turned into the OKC Westbrooks, the Lakers kind of turned into the LA Kobe's, and every night with no expectations was pretty much the Kobe show. That season, with after trading Caron Butler, their 3rd best player literally being between Kwame Brown, Smush Parker, and Brian Cook, Kobe took 27 shots a night. That's still the 3rd most ever. Look at this man's season highs that year. Just look at him. No one else on the team scored 30 points in a game. Now, yes, sure, it was fun, and obviously right now it's historically great to look back on. But at the time, these insane scoring outages and these crazy scoring streaks, it actually flipped into critiques of Kobe when his team really couldn't prevail. In 2 straight playoff years without Shaq, and obviously it wasn't Kobe's fault. The Shaq trade completely depleted their roster and the Kwame Brown trade didn't help. But in 2 straight playoff years, look at everything Kobe had accomplished himself, and look at where it got the Los Angeles Lakers. Nowhere. In 06, in the first round after being up 3-1 against Phoenix, they blow that lead, and Charles Barkley and many others accused Kobe of quitting and kind of pouting after people said he really didn't pass. And then in 07, they get destroyed by the exact same team when Amar'e Stoudemire came back. Now, I want you to keep this in mind. While all this is happening to Kobe, the league is moving on. Shaq just won another championship. LeBron just made his first finals at 22 and emerged as a legitimate candidate for the best player on the planet. Tim Duncan just won his 4th championship and passed Kobe. So it looked like Kobe was kind of getting boxed in as this cancerous teammate that didn't elevate anybody else on his team, and most definitely couldn't win a championship without Shaq. Even Lakers fans back then, a lot of them weren't too fond of Kobe because they felt like he destroyed their dynasty for his own benefit. Then after 3 forgettable years after Shaq left, he wanted out after they just gave him a 7-year, $136 million contract with a no trade clause.
Walking into the season, looking at the way things transpired throughout this offseason, what was your attitude like coming into this season?
I was ready to go. I was ready to play. And when trade talks come up, obviously it can be a distraction. I mean, we've seen other teams be extremely affected by that. But I was more than pleased to see us be able to focus and rally around it. And I wanted to be here. I want to be here, but it's just a tough situation for me to be here. And it's that simple.
Now, the trade request didn't do anything. The Lakers obviously didn't trade Kobe, but it wasn't like Kobe didn't want it. In the midst of that 07 trade request for Kobe, there was even a video of Kobe talking to a fan, pretty much trashing his GM Mitch Kupchak for not trading for Jason Kidd, and even hitting Andrew Bynum with a few strays in the process.
Right, my man, fuck, are you kidding me?
And he's the one that drafted Bynum, so he's not gonna let him go.
Fucking ship his ass up. You talking about Jason Kidd, but he didn't want to do that.
They think Andrew Bynum's gonna be.
So now we sit here in this fucked up position.
What's Andrew?
Now, Kobe kind of made it seem like it was easy to go back talking to Phil Jackson. They worked some things through and all that, but it couldn't have been easy. Like, he had to swallow a lot of pride. In the first game, the season opener of the new season, playing in front of your home crowd in LA, Kobe was booed. He was literally booed by his own fans.
You take a look at our opening lineups tonight. Of course, Doug, the big story here, Kobe Bryant, who was booed when he was announced to the crowd moments ago.
Now, it wasn't like Kobe came back because things got better. They didn't make life-changing moves that offseason. They didn't have a Kyrie. They didn't have a Ben Simmons. Kobe came back to this. Nobody in their right mind would have thought the Lakers would make the finals. Look at the preseason odds. They had them as the 16th team to win it, literally with the bottom half of the league. The Lakers season starts exactly how you would expect with that roster. They're 9-8, 1 game above 500 after 17 games. But then the player that Kobe wanted gone, he starts to develop, and he actually becomes a huge piece in the next chapter of Kobe's career. Andrew Bynum started that season playing much better on both sides, and his improvement significantly helped the Lakers. But then he dislocated his knee in January, and he never came back. Now, prior to him leaving, Andrew Bynum was averaging a double-double with 2 blocks at 20 years old. The Lakers were the 3rd seed, something that nobody's seen. Kobe was trusting his teammates much more than he ever did, only averaging 26 points with nearly 4 teammates averaging double figures. That Andrew Bynum injury has to be one of the most bittersweet injuries of all time. It definitely hurt them that season, specifically in the finals against Boston. but it's also what edged them to go get Pau Gasol, which at the time seemed like a highway robbery. They got off of Kwame Brown for Pau Gasol. Immediately after getting Pau Gasol, the Lakers finished their season 22-5, got the #1 seed, swept the Nuggets, beat Utah in the second round in just 6 games, and destroyed the defending champion Spurs in the Western Conference Finals in a gentleman's sweep. Now, I want people to truly understand how great that run was. The Lakers made the finals in a Western Conference where literally every team that made the playoffs won 50 games. The Lakers were playing without Andrew Bynum that postseason, newly acquired Trevor Ariza that definitely could have helped, and Pau Gasol, who literally played a third of the season, only 27 games, and they made the finals. That roster wasn't stacked. Like, they started Vladimir Radmanovic, who probably couldn't guard me. Now, remember when I said Kobe was the villain of the league? Bro, I did not exaggerate. Like, you can really see how much a person is hated with how they're treated when they're down. And bro, they kicked the hell out of this man after just winning his first MVP and dragging that team to the finals. They didn't care. Shaq obviously made this rap. Bleacher Report, bro, I don't know what Kobe did to them back then. I don't know if he didn't invest in them or he didn't believe. I don't know what it was. They couldn't stand Kobe back then. Every single bad article I found about Kobe at that time, it was literally by them. After Kobe lost that finals, a Bleacher Report writer wrote a detailed article explaining why Kobe should have never won that MVP, and reading it 15, 14 years later, it felt personal, I ain't gonna lie. They didn't just stop there. Like, George Castillo, I'm gonna call this writer out by name because his definitely sounded personal. He wrote an article explaining everything the 08 finals proved. And this is just some of the stuff he said, and I quote, "There's only one Mike. Just to clarify, Kobe Bryant is not on MJ's level, and he will never be. He may resemble MJ's size, leaping ability, and jumper, but I don't remember him bitching like someone canceled a teenage girl's cell phone bill. Kobe motivates his teammates by bashing and bitching at them. Phil Jackson can't work the magic with Kobe like he did with MJ. He went on to say something about that. Like I said, George Castillo, this just felt personal. I ain't gonna lie to you. Then in 09, you know how Michael Jordan lost in 94-95 to the Magic after retiring and coming back, and he came back that following season and won 72 games and they had the greatest season of all time and all that? This kind of felt like that year for Kobe. The Lakers came back fully healthy with Andrew Bynum and Pau Gasol there now, something that we didn't see the year prior. And they won 17 out of their first 19 games, 65 games total, which was their third best ever. And Kobe won his first championship without Shaq. During that finals run, and I think it's vastly underrated and people don't talk about this enough, Kobe had to play Shane Battier and Ron Artest, two of the best wing defenders in the league. It took him 7 games to beat them, but he beat them. Then he had to play in the Western Conference Finals against Carmelo, and he literally had his greatest series of his career to make his second straight finals. To me, that was equivalent to what LeBron did in 2012 against Boston. Remember, Kobe at that time was ringless without Shaq. LeBron at that time was ringless, period. Kobe had just lost in the finals against Boston. LeBron had just lost in the finals against Dallas. Like, it was a lot weighing on that Western Conference Finals, and Kobe had his best series of his career. Then, in the finals, he played the best defensive team in the league and the best three-point shooting team in the league. That team was way ahead of its time. In today's era, that's a recipe for a championship. The Lakers, led by Kobe, made that look easier than it was winning his 4th championship. Then he followed that up by going back-to-back for the first time since he did it 8 years prior, winning the West with the first seed for the 3rd consecutive year, and most importantly, defeating every bad narrative written about him. Yeah, George Castillo, yeah.
We know what it means as a team, but what about individually for you?
Just got one more than Shaq. So you can take that to the bank. You know how I am. You guys know how I am.
Bringing it all the way back to KD. Now that he's going back to the Brooklyn Nets, he's pretty much in the exact same situation Kobe was 15 years ago. But at least, like I said, he's going back to Ben Simmons and Kyrie. Kobe went back to a mess, and luckily it panned out for him. If you guys like this video, like this video. Just like you guys, I'm so happy the KD stuff is over. Teams can fill out their roster. The NBA is like less than 2 months away, and we can just move on. I was tired of it. Like I said, like the video if you like the video. Follow my social media sites. Do all that great stuff, guys. And until next time, as always, Stay tuned.